guess I'll bring the meeting to order. If you would rise and please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think they should have waited for the veteran to stand up.
A little bit slower every year.
Okay. Danielle, if you would roll call, please.
Chris Johnessy is excused. Mike Donlin,
Here.
Jeff Penzine,
Here.
Scott Williamson is excused, and Gina Musarelli.
Here.
Okay, I guess we will move to personnel, the approval of today's agenda, which looks to be fairly concise. Assuming there's no revisions, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve today's agenda.
And I'll second that.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Next on tonight's agenda would be the review and approval of the meeting minutes from the last scheduled BZA meeting on October 5th.
I move to approve the meeting minutes of October 5th.
I'll second that.
Second that, okay. If I could just have a minute here to. Okay, those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Those meeting minutes will be admitted. All right, then there are no communications and notices, no old business.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we move right into public hearing then
Mm-hmm.
for tonight's variance request. And I guess at this time, I would move that we open the public hearing for application number VNC 24-0001.
Second it.
I guess that would be section number PH 24-0004. We have a second from Mr. Donlin.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor of moving to public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, we're now in public hearing, which takes us to the variance request. Who is the applicant? Your name, sir?
David Sienkiewicz.
Okay. And David Sienkiewicz, if you could just summarize, what is the request that you're, the basis for your variance request?
I have a 40 by 60 barn. It is in front of my house. I live on 10 acres. My barn is completely hidden from all my neighbors. These are my two neighbors on either side here.
Okay.
They live on both sides of me.
Your name, sir?
Pollock, P-A-W-L-U-K.
First name?
Bob.
And your name, sir?
Mike Chichiva.
Oh boy.
C-I-E-C-I-W-A. So you're dealing with Polish legion here.
All three of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so the basis for the request then is to expand the barn in the front of the home.
Yeah, do you have the picture?
I do.
The barn is 500 feet from my
This
house.
picture.
This one?
Yep.
And your address is?
395 Hidden Pines Road.
That's real, okay. I'm just perusing the pictures here. This is it's my understanding, this is a modification of a prior variance.
Yes, the barn had a variance 20 years ago when I put it in, because it was in front of my house.
Okay.
And you've got, my driveway is 1,100 feet long. You just passed the barn on the way to my house. So like I said, the barn is 500 feet from where where my house is.
So was one of these detached accessory structures that went in the front of the dwelling? Because of, if I understand, so you had the barn put in the front yard of your property?
Yeah, because my house is on a hill.
Okay.
It would take thousands and thousands of yards of, to get level up anywhere near my house.
And that approval was 20 years ago?
Yes.
So then what's the basis for this variance on the barn?
I have a lot of equipment because I plow our road in 6 of the driveways. So I would like to store some of my stuff out there along with some firewood. I have
What is the addition? Explain what the addition is.
just a lean-to, just a roof over concrete, open,
Okay, no sides on it?
no sides on it. No electricity, well, maybe a light.
A bug light?
Yeah.
So I guess I'll first look to my fellow commission or BZA members here. What does the ordinance say with regard to the request?
Well, this is similar to the requests that we've had before, previously with barns in the front yard. The ordinance states, I think we're really well versed in that 50% of the house size must have like materials, things along that lines. And that's an ordinance that was adopted, 4 years ago, if I'm correct on that. For this thing. This particular location here, I believe the original ordinance was granted because of the topography back in 2003 for this location there. It is currently, you said 60 by 40
Yes.
is the size of it, which
Yes.
is 60 by 40 is 2,400 square
2,400
feet.
square feet.
And you have a house size of 2,200?
2,200 with a 3.5 car garage.
With the-
So my roof line is a lot bigger.
Yeah, so the ordinance, forget the number right off the top of my head, but that states that the barn can't be more than 50% the size, and it has to be built with like materials according to that ordinance. So, that's what
That's
this,
done, yeah.
that's what the ordinance says.
So I do agree topography was part of it. Did you go out and look?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Looks like that's pretty much the only flat spot you have.
Yes.
I wondered, I couldn't really, I wanted to be certain that it was the driveway side. Looks like you're gonna have to take some trees down.
Oh, just a couple scrub trees.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. But this was my question. This is so out of bounds of what our ordinance is, and it was granted so long ago. I don't think that's what we're looking at today, right? We're looking at a 14 by 60 roof, over something that's existing, because it's not just size, it is different materials. It's a true pole barn that's sitting there. One of the things we learned at the meeting that we went to at Oakland County, actually Danielle asked, can you stack variances? Because we're not going back to what our variances on that. They said they came right out and said, this is a different one. You are granting a different variance for this particular project. And then that leaves us, and there really wasn't any other guidance as to, so then does this fall under the 50%, 50% of the square foot? Can we say, yeah, you have to have the same shingles, but wouldn't we want the same shingles that are on the pole barn, not what's on the house? That kind of thing. They didn't have time to elaborate on that for us. So I think that's kind of where we will have to have that discussion. Does that help you?
No.
No?
I'll be honest.
Sorry.
I'll be honest.
Okay.
The relevant ordinance was not included in the packet tonight, correct? So it's not.
So the original variance that he got was an old
I see it,
ordinance.
2003.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
so our ordinance now states
Right.
that you cannot have an accessory building in your front yard unless it looks like your house. and it's 50% the size of the square footage of the house. So now you're dealing with a variance that has already been done and passed. He's allowed to have that barn.
Right.
The question is, will you guys allow him to add to the nonconformity?
I understand that, but how does a lean-to comport with the, the requirements of?
A lean-to is still a permanent structure that is attaching to an accessory building, which is making the nonconformity larger. That answer. And he's on 10 acres in the middle of nowhere.
And what is the reason for this again, sir? What is the reason?
To store the stuff that I have in the barn. Right now, I have to move stuff out of my barn to work on it. Cause I own a big tractor. Like I said, I plow our road and 6 of the driveways on our street, just as a courtesy to my neighbors. I don't charge for that. So I have a lot of big equipment. And so I have a 10-foot snow pusher that I'd like to put out there, and some other attachments like that, and some firewood. That's what I wanna put out there.
So the basis for approval of a variance is derived from topographical considerations.
Right.
Or practical difficulties, right?
Hardship not created by the resident, that's all.
Which exists.
Yeah, which exists.
But it's not an either or.
No.
Right?
Right.
Which is where I guess and back to your point, Mike, the dimensions of the lean-to combined with the existing barn then go beyond what the ordinance would otherwise permit, correct?
How many square feet is your house?
2,200 with a 3.5 car garage next to it. So if you looked at it from a satellite,
Just the living
it
quarters?
looks a lot bigger than 2,200.
No, it's just the living space that we take into consideration.
So the barn is already larger, right? So, I know what the ordinance says. If it were behind his house, he would be allowed how much?
On 10 acres,
It-
not
it's a
much I can
percentage
stop
of
him
the
from because
property
it's
and
10
stuff I'm
acres.
trying to
Okay,
find.
okay, thank you.
I'm trying to find it, I'm trying to get to the community code so I can read it verbatim, and I'm getting
Okay.
slowly there, so I can't walk and chew gum at the same time is
All
what
right,
it is.
well,
Or
we'll wait
coffee
because
on the
we need
keyboard.
that.
I did wine once, and it's
Ah.
sticky keys now, right?
And I guess just to be clear, Mr. Pollock
Mhm.
and Mr. Chichawa,
Close enough.
close enough.
Call me Mike.
Mike.
You're-
Mike,
you're-
I'm Mike and Bob. Mike
You're
and Bob.
adjacent neighbors?
We are.
Yes, okay. So,
May I approach? I just want to show you. Here, they live here and over here. My house is back here. This is my house right here. And my barn
There we go, or
It's
the
right there.
number.
Just put detached,
So nobody can see either my house or the barn from any of their property.
DETACHED.
okay, thank you.
And does that make sense? And Bob's
Well,
house
spell it
is this
right,
blue
Mike.
roofed house over here, and
Detached.
this is Mike's house here.
Yeah, it
And
looks
his
like
barn,
Should come up right.
everyone is very, very well spread out,
yes.
right?
And there's like
Thank you.
6 or 7 barns on the street, they're all bigger than the ordinance is. But of course, they're not all in front of the house.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, the horse barn is behind it. They
So
got
where does this-
an arena.
Here, 5 acres, right here.
Here, I'll read
So
the,
where does the topographical, the practical difficulty come from? Is it
Greater than
terrain?
5 acres is all.
Yes, my house is up on a
10
hill.
acres.
This is with-
The guy who sold me the property said I have the highest point in Oakland County besides Mount Highway.
And I understand because of that, you had to do your septic all the way almost to the road. It was,
My septic is almost to where my barn is
okay.
from my house. It goes downhill.
Because of the topography as well.
They used to joke that you get sucked down if you flush the toilet because it was going down so far.
And because variances follow the property, we need to consider if this property is ever, is it allowed to be split at any time in the future? Is it a splittable piece? It's not, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it is, because my easement back to it is only for a driveway, you'd have to be able to put a road in to subdivide.
Okay.
Okay, well,
What you reading, Mike?
Here's, I just was reading, it's under the 54-616, D, which is the REF, districts greater than 5, or district parcels greater than 5 acres, detached accessory buildings shall be erected in conformance with the following requirements. The maximum total floor area permitted for an individual attached accessory building shall be 4,000 square feet. The maximum percent of lot covered by all buildings shall not exceed 10%. So there's the answer to that first question, 4,000 square feet. All setbacks must be met, all height restrictions must be met. This comes into play is 4E, which is a detached accessory building may be constructed in front of the main or principal building provided the following conditions are met. It must be comparable to the principal or main building in construction, design, and exterior finish. A detached accessory building shall have no more than 50% of the square foot of the principal or main building. Only one detached accessory building shall be constructed in front of the principal or main building. So this barn, by definition of the ordinance, is a non-conforming structure because it's in front. Well, it's conforming because it was approved back in 2003. To Gina's point, it's the lean-to that the variance is being requested for, which is in addition to the structure. So,
So what is, first of all, what's 14 by 60? How many square feet is that?
14 by 60?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You're asking me to do math.
I am, yeah, I'm not doing math. What is it?
840. Yeah, 840 square feet.
Okay. So those are the dimensions he's got listed for
Right.
his lean-to.
so I'm struggling, and thanks, Mike, for reading that. I'm struggling with 4E subpart 3. A detached accessory building may be constructed in front of the main or principal building, provided the following conditions are met. Subpart 3 being, only one detached accessory building shall be constructed in front of the principal or main building. If I understand the essence of the request, this would be a second detached accessory
No,
structure.
it's attached to that building.
Yeah,
It's attached to the structure that's out there.
It's
What
like
brought
a
this
covered
up
porch.
is I need a new roof, and I said, if I'm gonna put a new roof on, I might as well extend the roof a little bit, so I can store stuff under it. That
So
was
this wouldn't be a second detached accessory building, this
No.
would be just an extension of the first.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And if it were behind the house, it would be under the 4,000 square foot. So what ordinances do we have about grandfathered in? Because that pole barn really has to be, that can't be the point. The existing building cannot be the point. That's not what the variance is about today. Sorry. Okay, no, please, tell me if I'm wrong.
So, I struggle with this ordinance.
Yeah, oh,
I
yeah.
don't think it's, a secret with me, but I struggle with this ordinance and what it is. I think there should be some buffering aspects to this ordinance if you're gonna continue to do this. We continue to get these types of requests, which, to me, is it's just not a good thing that we have to sit here and go over this, and do this multiple times. So technically, the 840 square feet meets the square footage, 50% of the structure. So we could say yes to that, but it does not meet the light construction
Right.
of the structure in that. So, because it's a lean-to, it's not gonna have sides to it, right?
Right.
It's just gonna have a roof that's gonna
Posts in the front, and
be much.
concrete on the floor.
So I'm not opposed to the lean-to, for one reason really, is because of the buffer that's on this site. This site is an oddly shaped parcel of land that has severe topography issues to it that causes a hardship of where you can place accessory structures. Hence, the reason for the variance back in 2003. On top of that, he's out, he's 300-400 feet from the right-of-way of his, he's down,
Right.
what's your easement length to get back there? 250 feet?
To run power from a pole that's right by the end of my driveway was 400 feet.
Yeah.
To run
So-
to my barn.
So, and I agree with the fact that this parcel cannot be subdivided because of the odd shape it is and because of the easement that's on there. So, you know, I do not have a problem with granting a variance for a lean-to off of an existing structure that was previously approved by a ZBA when barns were not even allowed in front yards, according to the ordinance. Now they are, but we have some restrictions to that, and rightly so. When we talk about the intent of this ordinance, the intent of this ordinance was to avoid any type of large accessory building along, that can be seen along a public right-of-way, along, you know, detracting from the main or principal structure. That was what the grief was over why this ordinance became into, and we've heard that several times. It's because of the unsightliness of a barn in front of a house, right? I can't see this barn. I drove up to it. I couldn't even fathom where the property was until I got around the pine trees that along the, you know, that are overhanging the paved road. You know, so I'm of the mind, because of the way the property is, the hardship of the property, the irregularity in shape lends itself to not being subdivided. The easement that's on it can't get a road through it to the owner's point. And its distance off the road, I'm in favor of granting this variance. I just, those are the hardships I see. Those are the property lends itself, the hardship is the irregular shape and the topography, period, end of story. And this is way off the road, so from a buffering stance and from an intent, when this ordinance, and I heard why this ordinance was put into place, is because they didn't want large barns in the middle of, that's in the people's front yards that you could see, because it detracts from the main principles item. I didn't even, quite honestly, I didn't even see your house when I went up there. I pulled in and went in and looked at the barn, looked at the site, and basically that was the opinion I had. I'm going off the topography from the previous ordinance. That's why your barn's there. To me, that's the hardship, topography and the property shape and the easement.
I agree with you. I think because we keep getting this type of thing, and every property is unique, that's why they're asking for the variance. I would like to be able to put something that says, as long as it stays a lean-to. You know what I mean? That it can't ever have sides. I don't know how to enforce that, but I think that might be prudent on our parts during the motion to say, this is what we're granting and it needs to stay this way. Kind of like the two different driveways, because somebody's on a corner and they're really only using one, but the ordinance says they have two. They could put another one in, even though we may have discussed it, we never put anything binding in there.
I would.
Or is that not necessary?
I don't know what basis you could have to limit not having, or, you know, in the future, you might wanna put a side because you wanna keep your wood dry, because the rain comes in that side. I don't know what basis in the ordinance will prevent him from doing that if we grant him the lean-to, okay? You know, it's not like materials, it's all that stuff. I don't know what that basis could be. I'd much rather see that say, and I don't know what basis I'd have on this, but I'd much rather say that we can't do any more additions to this barn because it's, you know, and leave it at that, you know? That's what I would, but I don't know if I can legally say that or in a, you know, we are here to review the ordinance in its written form and for its intent. And I'm back to the property and the easements, irregular shaped property and topography. to allow him to grant this, to allow us to grant the lean-to, so.
David, can I ask you, is this a depiction of what you're proposing as the lean-to, or what is? Is that
It's the
what was?
materials, isn't it?
Is that what was?
I've never seen
presented?
this before, so I don't know what this is.
Maybe, was this presented in 2000, when
Right, but
the original variance was granted
Oh,
in
that might be the
2003?
barn.
That's your original barn,
That's your
David.
original.
Yeah, okay, this is my original barn, this is just how the
Materials.
walls meet again.
So is there any rendering of this, the lean-to, the structure that you're proposing, or not?
No, other than we just drew
Yeah.
a square on a picture.
So I don't,
Cause the problem I'm having is I can't even find a contractor who wants to do it because they wanna build a whole barn or they don't wanna touch it.
Sure.
So I'm still looking for a contractor.
well, and frankly, that's what kind of distinguishes this request from a normal detached accessory structure, because personally, I just conceive of a lean-to as a different type of structure than a barn,
Right.
right? But, you know,
By definition, if it's attached to the structure and has a foundation aspect, it's a structure.
and this does.
Well, it has poles.
Yep, it's a pole foundation.
Okay, well, I guess with regard to the ordinance, the only deviation from what we currently have would be the like kind and appearance,
Mhm.
right? That's the only,
And he's getting a new roof, so it's all gonna be the same roof.
Yeah, that was the point of doing it now, cause I need a new roof.
well, then, I guess I might agree with you. There's no objections to what he's proposing here by the neighbors.
Right, no, actually, if I may,
Yes,
you said the purpose of the
Intent.
yes, is so that it's not, the unsightly building is not visible from the road, right? Well, the road, in this case, is Grange Hall Road.
Yeah, cause our road is private.
Our road is private,
Right.
so again, you can't see this,
That's a
so
good point.
if you're, you know, you can control things that are visible from the road. That's what the ordinance is for. This is not visible,
thank you, Mr. Pollak.
it applies.
So this, we are in public hearing. Sir, you're here tonight. Can I ask, your name or?
Yeah, Kevin Scranton.
Okay, hi Ken. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
So you're not a neighbor of Mr. Sienkiewicz?
I'm just a
You're-
spectator.
Okay, so there's nobody in the room who's been notified of tonight's proceedings and is here to voice any
Opposition.
Opposition.
Right.
No, you mentioned that about having it unsightly and the idea of a barn in front keeps up, you know, rather than have his tractor sitting out in the middle of his field or in his driveway, he's got a lean-to where he stacks everything underneath, it looks a lot better to me, and it's out of the weather, so it's, goes out, plows the road, and doesn't have to clean the thing off, and, he needs it, he doesn't. And it's not really, it's
So
just
they're
another
supporting
structure.
it because they don't wanna plow.
Well, yeah. The tractor
We might
don't
be
start-
Polish, but we're not stupid.
The tractor doesn't start, we got a problem. But it's not an additional building, that's what you keep saying, like it's another structure. It's just an addition to the structure, so it's still gonna be one building.
It's just, I do take these requests seriously because, you know, the
Sure.
ordinance has a purpose. It's to retain, the
Oh,
spirit.
I
intent
totally,
of
I totally understand that along the Grange Hall Road here.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a house and you only have 100 feet in front of your house and you got a 100-foot barn on it, I understand that. The ordinance should take into consideration the topography of the land and how much there is. They should have put that in there.
Well, I think that's part of what our struggle is, because we do
Right.
see this type of request more often than most,
Mhm.
which lends itself to the character, the topography, and just the characteristics of the lots here. So
Yeah.
maybe the ordinance should better speak to that.
The only other thing that would be good is that when someone comes in like me, when I came in, I had no idea what any of the ordinances are. I learned more when you came out, in that 5 minutes I met you, than I knew before this meeting.
They're
But I had to-
online.
But I had to pay the $700
Very
up
available.
front,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
They are all online.
yeah, that's what I'm pulling up, I pulled up right now and stuff, so,
It would be nice though if they could just print out a one-page sheet and say, here's the rules you gotta come under,
yeah.
before you write your check for $700.
Anything further, Gene? Mike, anything further?
No?
Gentlemen, anything? Okay, should we move from public hearing, close public hearing? Okay, I guess I would move that we at this time close public hearing for variance request number VNC 24-0001. This is applicant number PH 240004, David Sinkowitz, the owner of 395 Hidden Pines Trail.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor of closing public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay. So, I guess at this time, I would entertain, Danielle, would it be proper to entertain a motion,
I could try.
on the variance? Yes, if you would.
I could try. I make a motion to approve this variance based on the irregular lot size and topography, and that being the addition to this building is less than 50% of the principal building, the principal residence or main building. I think I covered it. Lot size, lot irregularity, topography, and being that it is less than 50% of the principal building. That's my motion to approve. I didn't word that very well, but
Got it.
that's.
I can second that.
Gina
I
seconds
will
it.
second that. Do you want me to reread you the numbers?
Okay, so those in favor of the motion as stated by Brother Donlin, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, the variance request is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Now I gotta get a contractor. And then they gotta get a building permit, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That would be your next step, to see that lady right there.
Yep.
Roofer can't do it?
There are no other,
Your roofer can't do it?
items on the
Well,
agenda.
I could go get a roofer and then find out, I
Right,
guess.
yeah.
And it's the same thing, I have to change the lean of the land a little bit. Cause right now my drainage runs too close to the barn, so I just gotta move it out a little bit to get that 14 feet in there dry.
So we still have the meeting here, just a second, we're almost there, so I think we're up.
Well, I was gonna ask, are we good to close the
That's
meeting?
it, we have one thing.
Nothing
That's it.
further?
That's it.
Nothing
Okay, I
further
would
on the
entertain a
agenda.
motion to adjourn then.
I'll make a motion to
I
adjourn.
would second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're at recess.